In business, it's binary. You either make money or lose it, right? And I say in a startup, if you can't make money within 3 years, it's just a hobby. It's not a business. It's going to go to zero.
Now let's start with one of the most common and obvious mistakes that I see throughout all of the money videos, both Millennial Money and Money Tours, is that a very large percentage of them cannot afford their current lifestyle on their current income. Basically, it just means that they're spending way too much money. And honestly, it's very easy to see why this is happening. You know, financial literacy is not something that's really taught in schools. So a lot of people just enter the adult world just expected to figure it out as they go along, and by doing so, they're obviously going to have a lot of mistakes along the way. If people aren't taught to budget, to track their spending, to invest, and to think long term, then it's no wonder why we see people spending $71 on Sprinkles cupcakes, making $15,000 a year in New York City. Until eventually it just reaches the tipping point where they realize that that spending is not sustainable. And from that, they either just make drastic lifestyle changes way too late, or they just accept that they'll never be ahead financially. The easiest way to get out of that trap is to cut back on your spending and get rid of any discretionary expenses that you might have. Also, websites like mint.com and personalcapital.com are completely free and incredibly easy to use, and believe me, trust me when I say this, the hardest part about doing all of this is just starting to turn this into a habit and a routine. But once you start doing this, the benefits are going to become monumental. You're going to have extra money left over at the end of every single week, and you're going to have disposable income left over that you can now go and invest with. One of the tricks I often do when it comes to spending and saving money is I just think to myself, if I don't go and buy something, it's like I almost got paid not to buy it. Like for instance, because I didn't go out and spend $10 on a hamburger on my drive home from work, I just saved $10, which is kind of like I got paid an extra $10 not to spend it, if that makes sense. This way your brain almost starts to rewire itself and reward you for not spending money because you act as though that is just money you got paid not to spend. The proper way to handle debt is really just as simple as this. It's okay and even encouraged to use credit cards for your normal everyday spending to then rack up the points, get cash back, get free stuff, and build your credit score. That's cool, but under no circumstances should you ever carry an unpaid balance and pay any amount of interest on the credit card. Ever. Always just pay it off in full by the time it's due with money you already have in your bank account. It's also okay and even encouraged to use debt as a way to maximize your return on leveraged income-producing assets. Like having a mortgage on a rental property could be a good thing. Going and getting a low interest rate loan so you could just not tie up your money and invest your money elsewhere at a higher return is a good thing. But the big differentiation here is that if the debt isn't helping you make more money, don't do it and avoid it. And if you happen to find yourself in any sort of bad debt, whether it be credit card debt, student loan debt, or any sort of personal loan, make it your new priority to pay off that loan as soon as you possibly can. Take on a second job, work overtime, cut back on all of your expenses, don't go out to Nobu and Malibu with your friends, just get those loans paid off. Having that type of consumer debt could really be one of those things that's as if you're walking around with a ball and chain. That debt is just going to be constantly holding you back and pulling you down at a time where you should really be prioritizing building your wealth and investing as much money as possible.
So what I need you to understand is this: more money does not solve a money problem. Let me sit there with that. Can I get an amen? More money does not solve a money problem. Has anybody here ever gotten a raise? Yes, you get a raise. And if you get a raise and then raise your expenses, you no longer have a raise. Has anybody here ever prayed for God to get you out of a financial situation? You pray and you get on your knees and you lay prostrate, you tell everybody and you say, God, if you get me out of this, I will never end up in this situation again. Well, guess what? What happens when we get out of that situation? We return right back to it again and again and again. So where is your money? I'm going to tell you the first place your money is in. Your money is lost in anxiety. If you have fear, if you are upset, if you are worried, if you are trying to figure out, they're coming to take my car, they're coming to take my house. I get so many people who reach out to me because they're in foreclosure and they want to know how to save the house. I say, don't save your house, save yourself. Don't save the house, save your mind. Don't save the house, save your peace. Because here's the deal. When God gives you a blessing, there is no worry added to it. So if you can no longer afford the thing, it's time for you to surrender and find out the good thing that God has for you. You see, anything that you're afraid of losing, you've already lost it anyway. Anything that you're afraid that you're not going to be able to keep up, you've already lost it anyway. Because what's happened is you've lost control. And the best thing that you can do in this season, as you find your money, is to understand that you are in control. Because nobody has a money problem. Let me repeat, nobody has a money problem. Everybody who has a money problem actually has a math problem. And it's as simple as this: 1 + 1 = 2. And if your stuff adds up to 10, it'll never get into 2. So look at your check. Look at how much money you bring in a month. If you bring in 2,000, but your stuff adds up to 4,000, you're living check to Monday. If you bring in 5,000, but your stuff adds up to 10,000, you're living check to Monday. If you bring in 200,000, but your stuff adds up to 400,000, you're living check to Monday. And the one thing I want you to know is that when you embrace mathematics, then you are in control. So your money is lost in anxiety. The next place your money is lost in invaluable assets that do not appreciate over time. Your money can be found in your closet. Your money can be found on your feet, the shoes that you're wearing. Your money can be found with the purse that you're carrying. You see, you've got to rise above. That anxiety is robbing you of your power. And let me tell you something, when you are robbed of your power and you give it to the enemy, then God can't really help you. So you want to get rid of the anxiety. You want to get rid of the assets that are not meaning you any good. And I am telling you that any asset that is no longer serving you is not an asset that you want on your team. If the house is not serving you, if the car is not serving you, if the significant other is not serving you, if the clothes that you're buying is not serving you, because all of those things only give you temporary satisfaction. Even the giving. Sometimes we give out of guilt, but sometimes we give because we want to see ourselves as a hero. Because your number one asset, it starts in your gut, it moves to your heart, and then you ask God to give you the mind to manifest what it is that you feel in your heart, which is called your purpose and your will. The next place that your money is missing, your money is in the fine print. That's right, it's in the fine print. We must read. I've heard people say that if you want to hide something from our people, if you want to hide something from poor people, if you want to hide something from disenfranchised people, then put it in a book. We've got to read. There is no other way. If there's somebody out here doing events telling you that there's a get-rich-quick scheme, that there's a way to make it happen, can you trade in stock? Absolutely. But you must become a knowledgeable trader. Can you invest in real estate? Absolutely. But you must become a knowledgeable real estate investor. Can you create passive streams of income? Yes, you can. But you must also get your intellectual property trademark. Can you write a book? Absolutely. But you must also have a marketing strategy. Anything that's worth having, you must work for. The only place where success comes before work is in the dictionary.
So the next thing I am going to is figuring out what your goals are. If you want to be a person that is literally living month to month on your overhead expenses, then you can say, okay, I don't need a second job. Maybe you're going to look at these numbers and say, oh, I definitely need a job because I want to put money away for saving. I have goals that I have in mind. I either want to purchase a home, I want to buy a car, I want to take an extravagant trip, I want to travel the world, I want to go see Europe. Whatever your goals are, put that number in there and make that your goal for the year. We have a goal. Like me, my mom, Lana, Israel, we have a goal. So we are very specific about, well, if you do this, Adrienne, if you decide to take this trip and spend this money, then you won't reach your goal. And that really puts things in perspective for me. So when my mom calls me and is like, girl, you have a goal, you didn't need those $150 jeans, I literally am like, you're right, I really did not need that. I did not need to go out for dinner. It's like, it's just not necessary. I could have made a great romantic dinner for my husband at home. Eating out is one of the major ways that people actually end up spending so much money. We don't realize that every time we go grab Starbucks, coffee, it is expensive and that adds up. Packing your own lunch. Not only will that help you on the fitness and health tip because you actually know what is going into your food, it really will save you so much money. Another fun thing to become a part of is looking up tips and tricks on the internet of becoming your own barista and creating your own amazing craft coffee cocktails and taking that with you to work versus going to a Starbucks because those expensive coffees really can add up.
here's the very first thing. That if you're really going to be successful, all of my millionaire friends, all of my pastor advisors, all of my mentors, this is one thing that I see in common with all of them. All of them have a clear vision. That's right. You have to develop a clear vision for your life. Because my vision is when I do find my wife, I can build her dream house. When I do have a family, I can move them into a beautiful home. So I'm sacrificing everything that I really, really, really want right now so that way I can tell my future wife and my future kids, absolutely yes. And so what I want you to do today is be like me. What can you sacrifice today so you can really go after the big vision, the big picture God has for you? What is that deep why? Well, what is deep down inside of you that will really push you to get out of debt, that will really push you to start that business, that will really push you? What is that vision that is so down the road that you're willing to sacrifice for today that will create a huge tomorrow? Every successful person I know have a clear vision. Their clear vision keeps them on the correct path. Got to have a vision, y'all.
Now, the wealth triangle has 3 pieces. How many? 3. The first piece is what I call high income skills. Now, how I define high income skills is a skill that has the potential to make you over $100,000 a year. $100,000 a year. Or sometimes $10,000 a month, however you want to use it, but $100,000 a year has a potential to make you $100,000 a year or more per year. Now, in this case, you are trading your hours for dollars. You're trading your hours for high dollars. You're turning your skills, your experience, your talents, and you're delivering value to the marketplace in exchange of money. So you are selling your time for good money. High income skills. Okay. Why is that important? With your high income skill, it gives you income and it gives you comfort. It provides that stability in your wealth triangle. Now, the second piece of the puzzle, the second step, is what I call scalable business. Something that you could grow without a lot of infrastructure. Is a restaurant a scalable business? No, because every time you want to open up a second location, I got to sign a long lease, I got to put in a lot of money, I got to renovate the place, I got to hire a lot of people. Yes, maybe it's an internet type business, it could be an e-commerce business, but something you could grow without a lot of infrastructure or without hiring a lot of people, without a lot of overhead. Now, why is a scalable business important? Because your high income skills provide you with income, yes? Yes. Your scalable business provides you with cash flow. It provides you with cash flow. That's why the second step. Now you can grow it. Third component. That's what I call high return investment. High return what? Now, how do I define high return investment? I define high return investment as an investment that will provide you with a 10% annual return year in and year out, a minimum of 10%. Minimum 10% year in, not just this year, but year in and year out, I consider that a high return investment. In some cases, it could be more. Now, high return investment is not to provide you with income, but it builds your net worth. What is it? Net worth. Your net worth.
I really, this is like an issue I'm really passionate about. Young people of color. Understand that we are not starting at 0. We are starting at -1,000, and not because of our parents' fault, but because there is literally a racial wealth gap. I'm gonna link a documentary down below. It's brilliant. It's just a 22-minute episode, and it talks about here in the USA, and I'm definitely sure all over the world, there are racial wealth gaps based on policies that prevented people of color from getting ownership of property, and property is the most safe investment. If your family doesn't own property that then gets passed down to you, you're starting at negative, whereas a person from an all-American white family is going to have more than you. So when you think about your jobs and like your friends are doing this and that, forget about what anybody else is doing and realize that you're not starting at 0, boo-boo. So you gotta work that much harder because you're not playing a fair game. I'm urging people of color, minorities, and immigrants to take a better look at their finances, because it's really critical that we know where our money's going and how our money is growing, so that we can move forward and try to have a fighting chance of closing that wealth gap. So I have the saying that it takes a penny to be a millionaire, aka stockpile your money, live below your means, and try to only invest in things that return. For instance, I'm only gonna make purchases if I can mathematically prove that it's a wise decision. My coffee machine, for example, it was $250. But after 6 months of that coffee machine, I had already saved money on coffees because I wasn't going out every single day getting 2 $5 coffees. Same thing with college. We stress this all the time. College is a business decision. If at the end of your 4 years you're gonna have a degree that'll validate that price of the debt in terms of what you're gonna be making as a salary, it's a smart decision. If it's a sunk cost, don't do it because you're not going to be making a wise decision financially. So basically, before you make a big purchase, or any purchase really, think about if it's a sunk cost or if this is an investment cost. Sunk cost meaning that it does nothing, it goes nowhere. You pay for the coffee, you drink the coffee, it's done. You have to buy another coffee now. As opposed to a coffee machine, you buy the coffee machine, you make your own coffee. In the long run, you save money.
In business, it's binary. You either make money or lose it, right? And I say in a startup, if you can't make money within 3 years, it's just a hobby. It's not a business. It's going to go to zero. My number one message to entrepreneurs, and I teach today, is never pursue entrepreneurship for the greed of money. It has nothing to do with it at all. The whole reason to be an entrepreneur is the pursuit of freedom. That's why you do it. You do it because you want to be free one day to do whatever you like. I'm here because I want to be here. I don't have to be here. I don't even have to ever listen to a phone call again if I don't want to. That's not what I want to do. I enjoy spending my time doing the things that I want to do. And I deserve it because I worked like hell to get here. And so I'm a huge, advocate of capitalism. I defend entrepreneurship every day. When people say you don't deserve that, I say bullshit. I deserve everything because I started with this. Everything I have, I created myself, and I deserve what I have, and I feel ferociously about that. And I tell other entrepreneurs, do not be embarrassed about success. Wear it, own it. It's yours, and you deserve it.
There's really 3 basic money skills that you have: spending properly, reasonably. Learning to enjoy money falls under spending. Learning to enjoy life with your money, which is kind of what your question's about. The second one's saving. You gotta learn to save money for emergencies, for college, for retirement, to change your family tree, to build wealth. You gotta learn to invest. You gotta learn to ride the investment waves like we've had in the stock market in the last couple of weeks. Right? And giving. The power of generosity to completely change you when you learn to give as the natural rhythm of your life. It changes everything. So, giving, saving, and spending.